Resolution 2022-0491, resolution to approve a 3-year agreement to renew annually after the initial term for the single stream recycling processing services between John's Disposal Service Incorporated and the City of West Dallas. Okay.
So we've had contractual services with John's Disposal for recycling processing since 2017. At the end of July here, our contract expires, so we did a request for a proposal, and we did have 2 companies that expressed interest in providing those services with the city, and we have chosen John's Disposal as well to continue those services. We negotiated a 3-year contract with annual renewals thereafter, subject upon approval of both parties. So,
Dave, I feel like it's deja vu here. Did we do this in 2019 as well?
Yes, in 2019 we were approached by John's Disposal if we were able to review and renegotiate our existing contract.
That's what it was. Okay.
Based on that contract terms, we decided not to because it was very favorable for the city.
Right. Okay. That's what it was.
Yep.
Thank you.
Was that your thing?
Yeah.
And we're going up from $45 a ton to $93 a ton, correct?
Correct.
Jeez.
And I think we should add, though, to that, we have unusually clean recycling. That's why we get this rate, correct? Because other cities have commingled diapers, garbage, everything in their recycling, which makes them pay more for.
Correct. We've been, John's Disposal has
city.
indicated, and the patrons of the city
Right.
has followed the rules and regulations and has made it easier for John's Disposal. There is a residual fee, as it's identified, where if you have certain garbage and materials that's not recyclable, you are charged per ton for that. So it is an increase in services, as Alderperson mentioned. So it's an increase of about $200,000 per year.
While we're talking about the whole recycling thing, is there something we can do to keep enforcing a little bit tougher residents who do not follow the recycling rules and are throwing trash and ends up being maggots and stuff in the recycling?
So currently, right now, the refuse, 5 refuse crews as well as 2 recycling crews, they put a notification to the patron or whoever lives in that dwelling, and that's a notification for them to correct that measure or remedy it.
Okay.
Within the next week, it's followed up with the crew as well as the supervisor.
So if they don't follow it, then what happens to them?
Then it's a written violation.
Okay.
And normally we give them 1 extra attempt to correct, then there's a citation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
If we have noticeable, what he had just mentioned, stuff that doesn't belong, do we just leave the cart there?
Usually it depends on the amount that's within that container. So if it's a small amount, we do take it. If it's somewhat of a substantial amount, yes, we do leave it and say we are not going to service that container.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Alderwoman Blanke.
Part of the resolution, it indicates to renew annually after the initial term. Does that mean basically it's done automatically, or that they be the sole service, or will we still leave it out for bids?
So the initial term of the contract is 3 years. Then thereafter, we can renew annually, subject upon both parties agreeing. If one individual or other party does not give the 90-day notice that's written, identified within the contract, it's renewed automatically.
Okay.
A 90-day notice is required for any party to cancel a service.
So then it's automatic, and basically we aren't bidding out.
Correct. Yep.
I see.
Automatically renews. Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Alderwoman Grisham.
motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, he had,
I have
you had
another
another
question.
yeah, I didn't know, I thought you wanted to ask a question.
One other question. With that giant pay increase, do we get any kind of thing in our contract where it says if the cost of recycling goes down, then we get a break on that?
There is not a floor for pricing. So everything is based on the value of the material, the commodity, which in this case is the recycling materials that we have within the city.
Okay.
If the markets deplete, and in 2019, part of 2020, the value of that material is not increased, not substantial, then obviously the city would have to pay more in the processing to offset that charge. So if we don't get much value or monetary value, yeah, the city loses out and therefore has to pay more money to get rid of that material.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay. Your
Motion
Honor.
to approve.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item 19, Resolution 2022-0489, resolution authorizing execution of the Department of Natural Resources Principal Forgiven Financial Assistance Agreement in an amount up to $346,300 to undertake a project to replace private lead service lines.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And item 20 is Resolution 2022-0421, resolution to approve a petition for the change of an alley located on the north side of the 7400 block of West Greenfield Avenue. Is there anybody here? Attorney Dick.
Mr. Chair, if you look on the screen, what you're going to see is the two-dimensional site plan draft that was provided to me by the architect for Double B's. This is a layout that has been presented. As you can see on the upper side of it is the west, north is facing to the right here, so you're going to orient it that way. So on the upper left-hand side, the southwest corner of this area, that's where the smokers would be located for Double B's to use their that land for their operations. And then you'll see some gates and fences kind of built in throughout this area. And then also on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen would be the northeast corner of this parcel. That is where a parking area would be located for the Double B's van, the truck that they use for their food truck. That's really the extent of the permanent structures going in there. Dumpsters will be located on the northwest corner, which is the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And that's really the extent of the permanent improvements back there.
Are they turning the smokers?
The smokers would be accessed from the east, so they'd be facing down on the page. Yes, those are the doors that you see
Right now, they're up against they're parallel, the back is parallel to the back of their building.
That is one issue that is being corrected by redesigning it. There is a sewer line running right around here, so they have to get these off the sewer line, and then by also health code, has to be a certain amount of distance away from the building. And then they also have to get the dumpsters far away. So that's why this design solves a lot of those issues by having the smokers separate from the building, from other structures, away from the power lines that are running overhead, and also allowing enough separation to the dumpsters, plus creating a channel or an area to walk through to access everything for staff that use these things.
So,
This has not been cleared through Public Works nor Health Department, so there might be minor modifications to this, but this was the general concept that was presented, and it would make it functional for Double B's to use that land. So any questions on this? Otherwise, I can get into the agreement and some details from that.
Okay.
Kale, I have a question. Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Haas.
Yeah, so are we vacating the alley that people won't be able to get through the alley then? What's going on?
So what would happen is that it's not technically a vacation, but it is a change in alley. So as you can see from this, this is a very rough image. We'll get an actual certified survey map to do this technically. But generally what's going to happen is the alley that goes like this along the buildings, as you can kind of see with that shaded line behind, would actually become this red area. So the alley as it's currently used by the public is effectively right here. You can see where the shaded area is. That's not technically legally where the alley goes. But if the council approves this, it would become where the alley actually is located.
So it's really no change to the public, but we're giving up what is the alley, but isn't the alley.
I would be shocked if anyone
Yeah.
who uses alley knew that they were not driving on the alley. I don't think a single person in this area ever has actually followed the alley.
I'm looking at it right now on Google Earth, and
They're they're driving over actually private city land and then crossing over. So as I explained in a prior meeting, it was a very impractical layout for an alley. This solves a number of issues. It benefits Noble Senior Living right here by adding some space and some privately owned land for them. It benefits Double B's by adding some space to allow them to continue operations, and it benefits Macoco's by giving them some additional space as well. Plus, it configures the alley the way the public has been using it for probably 65 years.
Thank you.
There's no questions on the map then. Just moving to the agreement. You saw the blanks from last time that we talked to, or we talked about last time. I can tell you that for letter A, this is the Macoco's property, the owner of that building. They're not going to actually pay anything as a result of this, so they've signed the agreement. Timber is Double B's. They have agreed to make a payment of $75,000 in order to facilitate this. They'll also post a bond equal to the amount of the contracts for their work back there, and that'll be dependent upon the contractor submitting that performance bond to be completed by December 31st, 2022. And then CTR is Noble Senior Living's owner, the owner of that land. That is also a 0. All the other terms remain the same. And so tonight I would just ask the committee to consider approving this petition. I only have a signed document from Scott Bunker's entity. I believe I will get a signed one from Timber because they've agreed to it verbally. And then I will work on getting a signed agreement from Noble. I haven't heard any objections that seem to be something that would affect the impact of the deal. But the only issue that's been brought up is potentially shortening this area of the land slightly, or trying to reconfigure this a little bit to allow a truck to pull in easily into this location. That's something I can work on with the applicants involved and the two parties involved, and I could work that out. So all I'd ask is basically for this committee to approve this petition subject to agreement by the other parties.
Mr. Chairman,
Alderman Stratsky.
we are putting lines, if they don't have a fence or anything, we are putting lines up where they cannot go over. So the truck cannot be extending into the alley, correct?
Correct. And it's a very good point in that was one of the issues in the past, is that when a food truck was parked back here, it was extending into the area that others were using.
Correct.
If this becomes private property, they have enough space in that design to park their truck right here. And that's the only reason I'm still wondering whether we can shave off space here or not. But we'll try to work that out so that their truck can be parked on the private property. And at that point in time, there's really no excuse for it to be sticking into the right.
Because if they do, I'm sorry, I want them cited. If they're sticking out into the public area, they need to be cited.
And especially because this is a heavily used alley,
Yep.
they probably wouldn't be cited, but they would be towed.
There you go.
Mr. Chair.
Alderman Vitale.
Kelly, the other two business or establishment, they're kind of willing to come forward with money, or we're not sure yet, right?
No, we didn't charge them. They're not being charged.
I mean,
any money.
they won't be charged anyway. I mean, in any.
Which entity?
Yes.
So the only entity that's paying for this to occur is Double B's.
Yes.
They're going to be making a payment of $75,000 to allow for, the city is essentially losing a fair amount of its land in this
Yes.
process, instead dedicating it to right-of-way, and that's how we're able to create more private property. So that's a significant factor. Plus the idea, we'll have to get a survey, and just in general, this is how contracts are. There's enough interest in Double B's to make this happen that's the payment they're willing to make.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Rankin.
do any of these businesses have outside patios that would hinder this?
Not that would hinder it. Macoco's has an outdoor area behind their building. Double B's does not, and I don't believe any of the operations for Noble are outside the building.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Public Works. Okay, we move on with the license, oh, no, I don't need that. We move on with the License and Health Committee, all the members present. So we have some items. The first item is,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
before you read out item 22, that person withdrew their application.
we withdrew it because I thought I didn't see it, which is good. I'm glad they did. So we just, what do we do with that now? Just place on
Move on
file?
to 23.
Okay, good, thank you. Then we got item 23, 2022-0729, new Class B tavern license application for 2+2 Success DBA 123 Buck Bar, 5832 West Lincoln Avenue. Agent Anthony Bergerino, ALC 22186. Mr. Bergerino,
Yes.
you want to sit over here?
Yes, sir.
So I do understand that you are a potential buyer of that
Correct.
place, right? So what's your intentions of doing in there? The same thing has been for years, like
Correct.
a corner bar and
Yes.
no music and nothing?
No music. Well, jukebox maybe, like a typical bar.
Yeah. I know you do have some driving records, which I don't think we probably can use that against you, you know?
Okay.
But one was very vividly just occurred, right? 2020?
Correct.
Yes. So any questions from the committee members?
Nope.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
and maybe this would be a dam check thing too. Hate to put you on the spot, Dan, but if this goes through, that whole front of the building is falling off.
Correct.
What do you plan on doing?
Well, they mentioned there was a
Who's they?
Patrick
Okay.
mentioned that there is a grant for a facade grant, which I didn't explore because first I wanted to see what the licenses was. But my plan for the front of the building is open it up and make windows, put windows there. Whatever it takes to get to that point.
Okay.
If that's okay with the city.
Yeah. Actually, myself, have been a drama in respect of the neighbors, complaining about, see that tarp over the wall, and,
I can't believe a tarp is sitting on that building. How long has
Yeah.
that been like that?
well, over a year. I mean,
Yes.
a couple of years, right then. How long has it been? 2 years?
2020, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's over 2 years.
Okay, the property's what?
In court
For what?
for the disrepair of the building.
The disrepair, yes.
Yeah.
It's in great disrepair,
I don't know about the roof. The roof probably needs, well,
yes.
building inspection will.
Well, they have to go through
They go
with their
through that,
inspection.
So any more questions for the committee members? I think we need the building to be, go back where it should be.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to let the committee know too that the Attorney's Office did issue a notice of interim public nuisance against this property about a week ago. So there is some pressure from code enforcement as well as our office to get this thing repaired as fast as possible. And my understanding is that's what the applicant will do.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
No. I
it was a
second, Mr.
tie.
Chair.
Mr. Chair
Go ahead,
can make
go
the
ahead.
decision.
Tie goes to the runner.
Go ahead.
How much of an investment are you going to make into this property, if you don't mind me asking?
It looks right now, the purchase price was approved at 175 and we're looking at 100,000.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any further questions?
Mr. Chair, yeah,
Yes, Alderman Throat.
if we do issue a license, do we want to issue it to a building that's been declared a nuisance? Is that, I don't know if that's rhetorical, legal question or what?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Alderman,
the
Keel.
committee has multiple options. If you'd like, you could use the standard procedure where you approve a license and let it sit in the council status until all the repairs are already completed, and then it's issued by the clerk at that point. Or you could issue it right now and just trust the applicant to complete the work. It's your decision.
Have been a nuisance for the neighborhood for a long time, and I'm fully aware of that. I've been getting a lot of calls, really. And to me, if it's a potential interest person to try to open up that corner, because I'm not too happy about it, really, the way it's been sitting. I know the owner, it's been, I use the term, which is the truth, lied to the building inspection just as well. He was going to do this, he was going to do that, but nothing ever happened. He says he's got no money. Well, it's not the reason, because I know the man pretty well, So I think, for me, I think we should move ahead with the gentleman tried to get the corner going, Tom?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, wait, yeah, Tom, please.
I guess I'm going to disagree with you, Vince. This property is run down. It's in bad shape. It needs a lot of work on it. We have limited licenses to give out. We're trying to save them for the new developments on the east end of town. And I don't think taking a flyer on somebody fixing up that dilapidated building and making it a corner tavern is in the best interest of the city. I think that if he fixes up the building and comes in for a license after it's fixed up, that's fine. But I don't think you should be just giving him a license on the come that he's gonna go spend $100,000 or $200,000 fixing up that building, because I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't see that little corner tavern there generating enough revenue to do that. So I would suggest that you deny the license at this time until that building is brought back into shape.
But the fact stands that we can apply, I believe, on the structurally place a building, that if he does complete that within, say, 3 months, 4 months, we can always pull that license away, really. If it's not get done, right?
Well,
Gail?
so at this point, I don't believe that building is occupiable. I don't know if you've issued an occupancy permit for that building. No. So they won't be able to use the license until that permit's issued anyway.
That's correct.
So even if you issue it tonight, you would not be able to open until the occupancy permit's issued. So
Yes.
you could issue it tonight and hold it at council, or you could deny it, or you could approve it without condition. It's really up to the committee how you want to proceed.
I believe we should have conditions go along with that, To me, that's a proper way to go, really.
If that's the case, then I would suggest approving at the committee level and holding at the council level until all occupancy permits are issued.
Good. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to ask, and I don't want to put our clerk on the spot, but do we know how much, similar to what Alderman Lysick had said, do we know how many licenses we have left currently?
I believe it's 5 or 6.
No, 4.
4, 5, or 6?
There would be 4 if this was
Yeah.
approved, and then we have 4 that are being kind of held, so there would be 4 left.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Being this is a new applicant, does he have to submit a diagram for us
Yeah, he can.
of what he
Well, he's
plans
got
on doing?
I believe I
It was
did.
attached to the
It was attached.
application.
Yeah.
The diagram?
You didn't see it?
So that's in that application? Because I haven't seen it.
Let's see if it's this one. Is that another one?
It's not part of the posted part. I could log in and get it, but he can
They're not
probably
able to
describe.
access it.
He can probably describe what he is
I
going
would
to
like to
have.
hear, what he plans on doing with the facility. What do you plan on doing with this
It-
facility?
Run it as a bar. I was gonna, like a corner tavern. I'm gonna remodel it. There's living quarters there, and I was planning on living in the back half of it. So part of it was going to stay living quarters, and then as business, I was going to, whatever the city wanted done, I would do. I was looking for direction on what they wanted for the facade, what they want, or if they want nothing, I really respect that. I would walk away. But I put the offer to purchase contingent upon getting a liquor license. So, and if it's no, then I just walk away. But if you give me a concrete plan of what you want done, I would be right now, would I put food in there? Eventually I would, but the bathrooms are not conforming. Are they ADA? I don't know that because you can't see, as the attorney said, it's not occupiable. I mean, there is stuff from floor to ceiling in there. It was used as an antique store, I believe. So if you go to every floor of that building, there is stuff everywhere. So it needs to be vacated. There's a 3-car garage attached or behind it, a detached garage, and that is full of stuff as well. So it needs to be really done over. So, and I'm willing to do it, but I want to know what it is the city is looking for. And if it's not possible, I totally agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, other person, question.
In light of the feedback that we've heard from our departments, it sounds like there's a lot that you would need to do prior to, I guess, my approval, individual approval to say I offer you that license, even with conditions.
Okay.
I think if you're really wanting to invest into this building, that I would like to see that done prior to the issuance of a license. And I know that may be difficult for you to do, but I think that is fair in saying you're going to make the commitment to what needs to be done. There's just too many things with that building, and in light of the fact that we only have 4 licenses to offer out, that's a big risk on our part.
Correct.
So with that being said, if there's no more discussion, I'd like to make a motion to deny.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item 24, 2022/0722 new Class B tavern license and special event permit application for Maria Rupina Fine Food Craft Fair, 7609 West Billway Road, in the parking lot, West Dallas, Wisconsin 53219, on Saturday, July 16, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. LLC 191 and SPEV 2252. Maria, you're here, right?
I'm right here.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm just kidding you. I'm just kidding, Maria.
Speedy.
I'm just kidding you.
Hello.
Good. How are you?
You must have blinked, Vince.
I know. So I know what you guys doing. I mean, I don't see any really reason. So any comment,
Just like
question
last year.
from
Just
the,
like last year, right?
Correct.
yeah, the same thing. Yes.
I would ask that if you approve this license, it's subjected to being surrendered the day after this event.
Okay. Any further questions from the committee members?
No. Motion to approve with condition of surrendering the day after the event.
Second.
That's right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. Thank
to
you,
see ya.
Maria.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we move on to item 25, 2022-08-04, new Class B tavern license application for Video Enterprise LLC DBA 84 Classic Cafe 1650 South 84th Street. Agent Jennifer Vigil, LLC 22193. Okay,
Hello. Hello.
how are you?
Good, you?
So what do you think about doing over there? You have any?
It's a restaurant. It's a restaurant. I just
It's a
wanted-
restaurant, right?
Yeah, it's a restaurant. I just wanted to open the bar.
Sure.
But just to serve like drinks for when they're eating.
Are you talking about in the back?
Huh? Yeah,
In
the back.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't have any previous offenses or anything like that, right? Any offenses, driver?
No.
Not driver license, but anything else?
No.
Drunken driving, anything like that?
No.
Any question from the committee members?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
In past, when that was Johnny D's, that was used for special events and whatnot. Are you planning on opening it, just keeping it open as a bar during your operating hours, or how are you
So
planning?
the operating hours would be from 7 a.m. to 2:30. So from 7 a.m. to 10 o'clock, it would still be like the restaurant, like the diner will still be open, and then I would have the bar open
From what time?
from until like 10 to 2:30.
Okay.
I mean, it would still be open all day until like 7 to 2:30, but like the food will stop being served until 10 o'clock.
All right, I have no other questions.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Chair,
So, go ahead, Ken.
just to clarify, the 2:30 be only on weekends then, and the 2 o'clock during the week?
2 o'clock during the week and 2:30 during the weekends, Friday and Saturday.
Did I hear a second?
There was no second. I'll second it.
So is it a motion for second that you?
I gave the second.
Oh, you put the motion in?
I put the motion
You put the
in.
motion in, so she's second. All,
Is there a Class B carrot license available?
Yes.
There is?
Yeah.
This would be replacing one that expired.
Thank you.
any further questions? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Oppose? The aye have it.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you. Eh?
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you.
Then we move on to item 26, 2022-0781, 2022-2024 new operators license bartender D operator application for Tina Markowski. Bartender 261, reapply, do non-appearance at 6/20 and 6/28/22, license and health.
Mr. Chair, I believe she had car trouble on
Yes.
the way to the last meeting.
Yes, I was stranded in Oak Creek.
Oh,
I did call immediately. though.
Yeah, but we weren't in the office then because we
Well,
were
how
in a meeting.
come?
so I thought maybe she just changed her mind, getting a
No.
license. So any other questions from the committee members?
Mr. Chair, you have one OWI and 21.
Yes, ma'am. That was my first one.
Rehabilitation,
Counseling, blower, huge mistake. I've been bartending for 33 years, licensed in Milwaukee, owned a bar in Cudahy, used poor judgment, and paid dearly.
right, thank you. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was an honest statement. Thank you. All right, then we move on to item 27. 2022-0783, 2022-2024 renewal operator license bartender class D operator for application for Heather Bosanek, bartender 260. Are you here? She's not here, eh? She's not here.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Rebecca, is this her first non-appearance? Okay.
Yeah, we can hold.
Motion to hold till,
Hold that for another.
Second?
yeah.
For August,
Okay.
next time.
Motion and a second.
All in favor of the motion to hold it?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. Then we have the last one.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We got one more thing.
Oh, no, we do. So all in the motion for aye?
Yep, we all said aye.
Okay. Opposed? The aye have it. Okay, then we move on to
This
item.
one right here.
Yeah.
What's on item 12?
Item 12, Class B Tavern License, LLC 22-189, Jana Bowman, agent for B2 Binary, DBA Binary
Binary.
Garments, Food and Spirit, 9105 West Lincoln. Okay. So you have concern about that?
Well, no, so according to what Nick sent us, let me get back to that.
Yeah.
He said, the committee may want to pull this from the consent agenda to put condition on license about when it will be surrendered, because there'll be an overlap, correct?
Yeah.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If I could suggest a motion, be motion to approve, subject to surrender upon demand of the new licensee.
What he said.
Oh. Okay, all in
So
favor of the
No,
motion?
you do a
We have
second.
to have a second.
We need an
Vince.
emotion. We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I will
Opposed?
second it formally because I did not second it. So,
That's good, I'm
all
glad
in
you did.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye.
The aye has it. Thank you.
Okay. Advisory come to order. Number 29, resolution urging the state of Wisconsin lawmakers to create sustainable funding structure for municipalities. I'll back, let the minutes reflect all members are present.
And that the peanut gallery is making motions.
So,
We got a first and a second.
Yeah.
Can I do that in your
I
committee
have to do a
meetings?
point of order with the audience here. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll
Second.
second. But-
Been moved and seconded, discussion? All
So
those
you're
in
gonna
fa-
put some of your money on that too?
Well, basically, I was very pleased that I was asked to sponsor this because
Yes.
the communities need help. Obviously, the state isn't recognizing this fact, and it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. I wish the league would help us out on this more than what they have. The method that is in this resolution gives, offers options for a sustainable structure. Very good suggestions, and I would hope that the state leaders would act appropriately on it. Because there's so many of the communities that are struggling. I think it's been 17 years since they basically have changed anything. I don't think they've changed the procedure of this.
They made it worse in 2012. Yeah,
That's what I understand.
Yeah, when the floor of the levy limits was taken out, there was a 2% floor.
Right.
Now there's none, so if you don't have a lot of net new construction, you don't have excess capacity. I think one year we could go up $447,000 or $67,000, which is one of our contracts with the police or fire.
So we do need help. We do need help.
Especially since the
Gail,
state,
would you like to add anything to this?
I'm happy to inject my opinion if the committee would like me to, that over the last 20 years, the inflation has been relatively low. So that 2% floor just coincidentally happened to line up approximately with what inflation was at that time. Now that inflation is going up, that random floor was gone, a 0% or less than 1% annual increase is not sufficient when we have 7% annual inflation.
Exactly.
We pay the same cost as everyone else. It's just not a sustainable model.
it'd be beneficial for us since the state doesn't reimburse us properly for state fair anyways.
Well,
That would be a
there's
I'm gonna keep digging.
There's all kinds of funding sources that are drying up, and the fact that our levy limit, despite all the other issues, is not able to meet inflationary rates annually. It's an unsustainable financing model. It's dooming the city to financial issues every year.
Right, and the levy limit option is just one of the options. There's other options that have to do with alternative revenues that wouldn't affect the taxpayers directly as much. But
Mrs. Chair, I would like to ask you,
Alderman Vitale.
I would like to ask you, is that something could be maybe accommodated through block grant programs, some of those funding that you can do that, I mean, right? I mean, it's not the way it works.
Well, I think,
Madam Chair,
yeah.
each year we have a deficit when we start the budget process of
Yes.
millions of dollars. So between what the departments are asking for to do their regular operations and what we can actually expend the next year is a huge gap. I think 2 years ago it was $3.5 million that we had to reduce from our budget, which is significant in a city of this size. So we have used block grant funds for to plug some holes, I guess, but it's not it's not eligible for doing that for all of these,
Yes.
all of what we need funding availability for. So we just really need some other options. We can't continue to reduce services and staff because our budget is 87%
Police and fire.
staff. Well, not quite 87% yet for police and fire. They're
It'll get there
they're
eventually.
57. But if the things continue, I would guess in less than 10 years it could be 87% police and fire.
So the fact is that every community in the state really is facing,
No,
I mean, is it bigger communities are facing that, or?
It's the communities that are fully built. So you have a lot of communities in the suburbs that are building. They have lots of new construction, so they have larger levy
Preferential treatment.
capacity.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess, if you want to call it that. I was just trying not to make it political.
I'm here to make it political.
I'll go ahead with it too.
Mayor, would you like to zero in on this as well?
Were you gonna? I'm sorry.
The only suggestion I was going to make is that the current tax levy is Wisconsin is known for imposing one of the higher burdens in the country on property owners. The city of West Dallas gets a lot of visitors. If the state would allow for a local sales tax, that would take the burden off property owners and more fairly distribute it to the people who are using the city. So I think the sales tax would be an excellent option that would fairly spread the burden out, and I think that would be a way to reduce the cost to local taxpayers.
So eventually the council will have to make a decision.
Well, the state has to make the decision for us. We cannot impose a local sales tax without state action.
Okay, Mayor?
Madam Chair, thank you. I just wanted to share a couple of facts that I got recently from the League. There was a Legislative Reference Bureau memo showing that since 2011, shared revenue has decreased by 9%, and this is statewide, but local spending on police, fire, and EMS has increased by 16.7%. Another fact I want to share is that state income tax collections have more than tripled since the early 1990s, which are the appropriations for the shared revenue program, which is the primary mechanism for upholding the state's original commitment, how many decades ago that was, to redistribute some portion of the state income and sales tax collections back to local governments. That's declined somewhat, but if you take inflation into account, the disparity from the 1990 shared revenue expenditure of $835 million, if it had grown at the pace of inflation, it would have totaled $1.73 billion in 2021, or more than double the estimated expenditure. So it's not like the money's not there. It's just not coming back to the communities. And we all know the state's currently sitting on massive surpluses, and that is not coming back to the communities. So that's all I have.
You think basically the league will eventually work on
The
something?
league has been working on it for years and years, and that has been, I have probably sat in more league meetings talking about this than common council meetings talking about everything else. And the fact is, I think I've said this before, everybody in the Assembly and the Senate is essentially in a very safe seat, whether they're a D or an R next to their name. They don't have to listen to anybody. And, you know, it's partisan, it's dysfunctional. I don't know, you know, I keep scratching my head and we keep talking about other ways we can try to tell our story. We know last budget we had to eliminate 9 positions with some contractual raises that were in the budget. The levy, the limitations allowed us to go up, say, $350,000, and we already had contractual raises that were over $400,000. So we were essentially starting with a negative $50,000. And I know it's so hard, I think, for anybody here to discuss it in depth. But I'm trying to get to tell this story to residents and businesses that are inquiring about why property taxes go up. And we hear complaints about all the things we would love to be able to address more aggressively than we do, whether it's rodent abatement, whether it's reckless driving, whether it's crime trends, whether it's car thefts, whether it's catalytic converter thefts, all the things we're getting the complaints about. We're struggling to find the resources to tackle with these tackle these issues. And I don't know how we can tell the state how this is, what other way we can try to tell this story to people that make these decisions. The league's been all over it, though.
Madam Chair, the library board and Police and Fire Commission and the Board of Health will also be considering a similar resolution. And then I believe we're going to try to do some public information campaign.
Similar to what Dark Store was a couple of years ago.
Well, thank you all for your input. I appreciate that.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Other
what are the-
discussion.
Madam Chair,
I'm
question for
sorry.
the mayor.
Alderman Tenario.
What are the lawmakers who are blocking this? What are their responses when the league and when folks are speaking to them about this? And how are the lawmakers in West Dallas?
Well, to be blunt and honest, there's one for a 50-50 state in every presidential election. We have 66 Republican members of the state assembly and 33 Democrats, give or take. So one party is got a very, very strong majority in the assembly. The Senate's a little bit closer, but there's still a majority with the Republicans. I've had state representatives tell me they're going to try things, but they say they can't get it through caucus, which would mean Robin Voss, Speaker Voss, is blocking things that are attempted to be done. Every time you get closer to an election, and because the assembly seats are 2-year seats, you got about a year to get something done, and then nobody wants to let the other side look good because they have elections in a year, which is unfortunate. I'm getting phone calls from a former state assembly person who's now running for the seat vacated by Dale Kuyanga, who sadly was one of the people that seemed genuinely interested in trying to make changes, but he's not running again. I don't know if it's they don't understand it or if they just want to be able to tell everybody that they're not raising taxes. And if you don't want to raise taxes, we won't raise taxes. But like I said earlier, it's challenging our ability to tackle the problems that we face as elected officials. We're powerless on these things. We just are struggling so bad. So, we've met with state senators, state reps. We've pre-COVID, we've done where we've had both state senators and all 3 state representatives come in and meet with us, and we'd give them ideas, and then they'd go to Madison, and I don't think they remembered a word we said to them the Tuesday night before. So they're in safe seats. They have the appropriate letter next to their name. They don't need to do anything. Until the people that vote and that are here and that are listening to this contact them, but it's also hard to contact your state assembly. Puberty's great. Your state assembly person when you have trouble explaining what you want to argue. I mean, you can do it in simple terms, but it's very complex and it's very detailed. But we're not on a sustainable course. That's the bottom line. So I really don't know where the breakdown is. I mean, I've heard state reps say, well, they're up for re-election and they don't want, nobody wants the other side to look good for the year prior to assembly seats coming up for election, which is frustrating.
It's ignorant.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Madam Chair, Person rank, Madam Chair.
Alderman Vitale.
Mayor, see the fact it is that sometime I get a little perturbed the questions that I hear coming from Madison or so many people. They use the terminology as conservative. So conservative, I never got an answer from nobody. What really means conservative, really? What really means, That's my strong opinion. Because conservative or liberal, they still spend money. And conservative spend just as much money. In this state, I know I'd probably be out of the question right now, but over $1 million goes to someone that really, to me, that's false. And we use $1 million from the taxpayer dollars, and then we are conservative. to me, it's a phony information to the taxpayers of Wisconsin, really. And the bottom line is that, what you say, Mayor, that's the truth, there's money that, in the state, but the fact that is, we have people out there that they just, they like to show you that they don't raise taxes, but they do raise taxes in a different way.
If I could, Madam
Thank you,
Chair, just
Mayor.
one final point, and I don't have this number in front of me, but if I'll send this to you, but if you could find out the amount that state spending has gone up in the years that everybody in Madison is telling us our spending is not going up, it would knock you to the floor. It was like, I want to say over 100%.
I tell the truth. That's the
Their
truth.
spending was soaring. Well, they're telling every city, village, and town in the state that they can't spend money. So that's all I got.
Something has to change.
Yes.
Yes, well, hopefully they'll take notice of our resolution. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 30, appointment of Mayor Devine of Shirley Lux to the Commission on Aging.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Maybe someday I serve on those committees,
We're adjourned.
Maybe-